Well, hello and welcome to the Informed Traveler Podcast, a weekly travel podcast where our goal is to help you become a more informed traveler. And I'm your host, Randy Sharman. Between airline strikes and hurricanes, it's a good time to remind you again of the importance of trip interruption and cancellation insurance. So, in a few seconds, travel expert Anakonda Forbes will join us to give us some tips and advice on trip interruption and cancellation insurance. Also, if you remember a while back, Anakonda was cruising the Amazon River with a company called Anakonda Amazon Cruises. And while she was there, she got the chance to chat with one of the founders of the company. So we'll play that interview for you and learn more about cruising the Amazon. And Ken Stewart from Crowfoot Travel Solutions will be along to give us a few destination ideas and travel deals with our weekly roundup. But first, let's kick things off chatting with travel expert Anakonda Forbes, who joins us each week to discuss some of the travel news and travel trends. You can follow her adventures on Instagram, Facebook, and X at Anakonda Forbes. AnandaForbes.com is her website. Hi, Anakonda.
Hey, Randy. Are you at stampeding yet?
Not yet, but it's an exciting time to be in Calgary. So if anybody's thinking about coming to Calgary, come when the Stampede is on because it's fun.
It is fun.
Unless there's a mechanic strike and you can't get here. We are going to talk about WestJet, their mechanic strike, more of a lesson on the importance of trip interruption and cancellation insurance. Here's the $1 million question. If I was caught in the middle of that WestJet strike last week, would trip interruption cancellation insurance help me out?
Well, you have to consider if it was an unannounced strike or they gave enough warning, which we could go into later on. But most travel insurance policies include benefits if it was an unannounced strike, which causes havoc to your travel plans. The key is that the strike can't be a known or foreseen event for coverage to apply under travel insurance. If your airline announces a strike and your travel is affected, it may not be an event that is covered under travel insurance because it's now a known event that could happen. But there are different insurances that you should consider, and I think the most the best way to ensure coverage for a strike is to purchase your travel insurance early. So what could be included is trip cancellation. So if your trip departure is affected by an unannounced strike for a large amount of time, usually 12 to 24 hours, you could cancel your trip and receive a reimbursement of your insured trip expenses. And that could be up to a reimbursement of 100% for your non-refundable trip expenses you insured under the policy. Then there's trip interruption. So if your return home gets delayed or canceled due to an unannounced strike, trip interruption coverage could cover the cost to replace your airfare. We always talk about insurance or different, documents and travel. You need to read the fine print. And here it's important because some policies have specific limits. So if you do have any non-refundable bookings that you weren't able to use because of the strike disrupting your trip, travel insurance could provide reimbursement for those lower costs. So if the strike requires you to rebook tickets on another carrier altogether, you may be able to file a claim with your insurance provider for reimbursement of some or all of that cost of that additional ticket, depending on your policy limits. And so there's lots of ins and outs, but that's where a travel advisor will help you go through all those, I guess, conditions and terms that you have to know about. Another area that you could consider, or you could be considered for reimbursement, is travel delay, because sometimes strikes shut down airports for an extended period of time, and this could cause you to be stuck halfway between home and your destination, or you have to extend your trip unexpectedly. So your travel insurance could pay for extra hotel, meal, and local transportation costs until you catch the next flight out. So just a note that each policy has a maximum amount that they will reimburse per day per person insured. You'll likely need to obtain documentation from the outlining the reason and the duration of the delay. And if any if the airline provides any reimbursements to you. Um, there's another policy, like when you get any policy that has cancellation or interruption, there's a flight assistant. So you register your flight and you can do it with your, travel insurance. It will monitor your flight. And if your flight is delayed over 4 hours, it sends you a certain amount of money to help you, and it just automatically gets deposited in the account that you register when you register your flight. So there's different ways that you can protect yourself, but honestly, it really is about buying insurance when you book your flight or when you make your first deposit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, at the end of the day. And then, so that's one of the ways to protect yourselves. And the second thing is just be mindful of any new surrounding potential travel suppliers before you secure your booking. Because if you book with a carrier that hasn't announced an imminent strike immediately and follow up by purchasing the insurance, you should be protected. But it's almost like the way of the travel industry now. You have to be aware because there's so many strikes by so many different units of airlines. We were talking like it could be mechanics, it could be pilots, so many different things could be affected in your travel.
So my takeaway on all that is make sure you get your trip interruption cancellation insurance as soon as possible, because if you want to cancel your trip before you leave, you don't want to be getting the insurance after a strike has been announced or something like that, or even a hurricane, because we've got Hurricane Beryl going on, right?
Yes.
You want to do it
Yes.
as soon as possible. It's the interruption part, I think, that, like you talked about delays and things like that, where if you had it in place in time, I think that's where it kicks in with helping with costs of hotels and meals and any kind of delays. And the flight assistance thing that you talked about, I think that would be very handy because no one wants to be stranded on hold for hours on end trying to book another flight home.
Right. Absolutely. And it is important to have an advocate for you at the end of the day, because it would be impossible to have gotten through to an airline when they're in the throes of a strike. So as a travel advisor, that's working with one. They have access to the airline's inventory live, and they can help you rebook or reschedule your flight or cancel it, and then help you with the refund policies. So I think the frustration of not knowing is probably the worst thing for a traveler to encounter on their trip.
Anything else we need to know other than, book your trip interruption cancellation insurance? Well, book it, get it,
Yes,
and get
yes.
it as soon as possible.
That's right. And also, when when you're evaluating your insurance, because sometimes people want to think that maybe another form of insurance will cover them, like their credit card insurance.
Mm-hmm.
My takeaway to that is just read the terms and conditions, read the fine print, because you don't know what that coverage is, or even
Yeah.
if you have coverage.
And if you're not sure, ask questions, right? It never hurts to pick up the
Absolutely, yes.
phone and just ask a question here and there.
That's right. Yeah. So travel is, it's fun when it goes right, but when there's a hiccup, it's always good to know that you're covered, that you've, done your due diligence, and that you have a way to protect yourself and your financial investment.
Always great tips. Onanta Forbes is a travel expert. You can follow her on Instagram, Facebook, and X at Onanta Forbes. OnantaForbes.com is her website. Good advice, Onanta. Thank you.
Take care.
Well, Well, if you remember, a while back, travel expert Onetta Forbes was cruising the Amazon River with a company called Anakonda Amazon Cruises. And while she was there, she got the chance to talk with one of the founders of Anakonda Amazon Cruises, Diego Garcia. So, to learn more about cruising along the Amazon River, here's that interview for you now.
So with me today is one of the founders of this beautiful ship, and he is Diego Garcia. He is the commercial and marketing manager, and I'd like to welcome you to our podcast today.
Hi, Ananta. Thank you for this opportunity. It's great to have you on board. Actually, right now on board the Anakonda, and it's been amazing 4 days. Of course, our first day we had amazing sunsets, great weather. Yesterday we got to experience more. Why is it called Amazon rainforest? Lots of rain, but still we get to see lots of wildlife and plants. So great to have you on board.
Well, I'm so happy to be here. And you're right. Yesterday when we went on our riverboat cruising, for the lack of a better term, we saw some amazing sights. So we saw some otters that is hardly ever seen. We saw some dolphin, and they were blue dolphins, right? Pink dolphins. The reason why I kind of zoned to blue is because there was a baby there, and the baby was gray, and then the mama was pink. Yes. And, you know, on board, if you wanted to continue that experience, enjoy a pink daiquiri, which is actually a pink dolphin drink on board. And it's very refreshing. And that's what we found, too, that the food is amazing. There's lots to eat, a good blend of international foods as well as local Ecuadorian flavor. So you're going to be well taken care of on board. The first experience that we had, we went on we have riverboats that we are able to leave the ship and go into smaller areas, and we were seeing howler monkeys in the evening as well as different types of birds. But the best part was the night walk. So tell us how you create such things.
Well, we have been blessed by... We are the only river cruise line that operates in the Ecuadorian Amazon rainforest, so it's an exclusive experience. And of course, why cruising? I think the best way to get to know this destination, the Ecuadorian Amazon, is by taking a cruise, because you're allowed to go to remote places where nobody else goes. Of course, it cannot be the same if you just go to a place without having the comforts and the standards that all of our guests require and demand. So it's like staying on a floating 5-star hotel experience. As you mentioned, food is amazing here. Most of the people tend to think when they come to this destination, what am I going to eat? And as you have experienced, it's really amazing food, different dishes. The gastronomic experience that we provide here is a combination of Ecuadorian dishes and also some international dishes as well. Plus the comfort of having an air conditioning system within the ships, and a spa service as well. I totally recommend you to have the spa. It's something that we have been upgrading and working on it for a few months now. And I think this destination is a sensorial destination. So going back to wildlife, when we go to the different experiences here in the Amazon, is not only what you see. Of course, what you see here is everything covered with green, lush scenery. There are lots of colors from different animals like macaws, scarlet macaws, blue and yellow-headed macaws. So there are so many colors, as you mentioned, the pink river dolphins, colors that you wouldn't even imagine. And the wildlife that we have here, it's in terms of evolution as well. We are actually navigating next to the Yasuni National Park, which is one of the biggest and most biodiverse places on the planet. And this is a big deal because when you enter this territory, you can experience in one small hectare different amount of species that we have here. So when we think of terms of evolution, of course, in Galapagos, we have this knowledge of starting the story of who discovered the terms of evolution in Galapagos. But what we realize is that here in the Amazon, we had evolution thousands of years ago when all this territory, like the Yasuni National Park, was a hotspot before, during the Ice Age. And the Yasuni National Park is one of the biggest hotspots. So that's why we decided, actually this is a family-owned business. So everything started with my father, Raul Garcia. He has more than 40 years of experience. Actually, he was captain of a previous old cruise that navigated along the Aguarico River and the Napo River about the 1990s, more or less. So he got a lot of experience of the destination, and beyond knowing the destination was this special bond that he was able to develop with the local communities. Here, actually, with all this experience, we are able to work with 15 communities along the Napo River, and I think that's the best part in which our operation works through a sustainable tourism scheme. So this means that for each guest that we receive on board, we are contributing to all the communities that we are that take part of this operation. Actually, we like to call the local communities as our partners, because what we do is that we navigate along the Napo River, and this allows our guests to have different experiences. Sometimes some communities are willing to show their culture, maybe others just let us go to their backyards to explore, like the night walk that we did, and encounter different type of wildlife at nighttime. But beyond that is the support, the direct support that each of us contribute to the communities, and this allows them to receive an income to be part of this conservation program, in which they become pride of being the guardians of their own territory. So this means that they won't hunt. They won't, of course, the life here is so simple because they have everything. They don't depend on the civilization or the commodities that we have on big cities.
Right.
They are, for my perspective, they are the happiest person and the richest person in the planet, because they lack of stress. They don't have traffic, they don't have social media, no internet. Yeah. They just live their life like it's that day. They live the present. And I think most of our guests have this teaching from the locals, that it's a reminder of what we're lacking sometimes from the outside world.
And I'm looking so forward to our experience this morning, because we are going to go to visit a community, and they're basically run by women, right?
Right.
And these ladies are going to show us where they've kind of set up their little farms. They're going to show us their handicrafts. So Shopper and me is so excited to see what they have made, and I'm able to bring back home as a nice little reminder and memory of my time here. So looking forward to that. So I think it's as you say, it's a good way to give back and to shop local, which is so super important when you do travel, because we're very blessed to be able to be welcomed into this environment. So thank you for that, and thank you for giving us that opportunity. Now, one of the things that a lot of our listeners really enjoy is viewing wildlife. So as mentioned, we saw some monkeys and birds. So if you're a Twitcher, you would love to come here and bird watch. But also on the night walk, we saw some amazing animals like tree frogs,
yes,
iguana, yes, the hugest spider I've ever seen.
Yes.
It was quite amazing, all very safe in the environment. One of the big highlights of the trip is Avril. He's our naturalist on board, and he is very keen in showcasing his country, because he's definitely born and raised here. and he is very good at finding animals for us. So one of the techniques he uses is his smell. He goes, I can smell them, they're here. Or he'll use some of the sounds that the animals emit. So because of him, we've seen some as the pink dolphin is very rare, and he just kind of knew where they were, and then he called the otters because he heard an otter emit a cry, and he replicated it, and then 2 otters came by, and they're huge.
They are huge.
They are very huge. So there's lots of opportunity to experience the outdoors here. But as you say, you do have the comforts of a resort. So last night I enjoyed a facial and a reflexology, which I totally enjoyed.
Renewal.
Yeah, it was a good way to prep myself to go to sleep, and I had a beautiful sleep. So I would encourage guests to come. And you have a website, right?
Yes.
That listeners can go and see what you're all about. So what's your website and your Facebook handles?
Yes, our website is anakondaamazoncruises.com. Anaconda with K, the same as in our social media, that it's at Anaconda with K, Amazon Cruises. I think what our project really stands for is to build a bridge between 2 worlds, the Ecuadorian Amazon and the rest of the world, giving this luxury experience on our cruises, with whether the Anaconda or the Manatee. We have 2 ships, and involving the communities. And as you mentioned, we're so proud that our crew members are 70% of our crew members are local people as well. So we hire local people. It's part of our contribution for the economy as well. And you will see when we visit the community, they always are excited to receive us, because some of the staff work here on board and they see their parents or their aunts or their cousins working with us, and I think it gives this hope of getting developed and learn new things. Of course, we have to comply with high standards for maintenance, for quality, for cleanness, everything about quality, and it's the small details. Something that you have to consider, for example, as you mentioned, Abel, our local naturalist guide, his English is really good. His way of explaining things is really good, and is the possibility that he has traveled abroad. But is this commitment that we like to work with all the communities, that each time they go out, they are willing to learn stuff and then go back to their community, because this is what is really sustainability, the future generations. So when he was little, we had a combined project with some schools, so we were able to contribute to their learning and kind of providing some scholarships, and having a job in the future, like working with us as part of our staff, is an opportunity that these future generations can start considering. And it's because while doing tourism, you are also doing conservation.
Right.
And I think that's the huge deal, that most of the communities are now more aware.
Yes.
The development of the small communities is not to develop big cities.
Yes.
Now their mission is to preserve their territory, because if you have more fauna, you are able to have more tourism, more guests involved. And I think our heritage of what we do is for future generations. That was my father's vision, that was my father's objective, and now that I have gotten involved with this, I'm just amazed and blessed to be part of this. I have to thank a lot my parents, because they have taught me something that you don't learn in universities, you don't learn at any work. It's when you learn at home.
Right.
Certain values that I think I have always appreciate: nature, appreciate the local communities and respect their way of life. But beyond that, understanding and knowing how to support them in the best way. As I mentioned, each community is independent, but the best thing we can do is that they want to work with us,
Yes.
because we can share our values and share our vision for sustainability in this amazing territory that is the Ecuadorian Amazon rainforest.
Well, Diego, you just summed it up so well. It's a wonderful experience, and I thank you for having us on board. And I invite our listeners
Yes,
to
please.
go onto my social media sites. It's at Onanta Forbes. You can see some spectacular pictures on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter with Anakonda, with a K, Amazon Cruises. Thank you, Diego.
You're welcome. Thank you.
This is the Informed Traveler Podcast. I'm Randy Sharman. Just want to remind you of our website, theinformedtraveler.org. That's where you can find our contact page if you have any questions or comments about the podcast or show ideas. You can also email me with any questions or show ideas you might have. My email address is randy@theinformedtraveler.org. And if you want to get up-to-date travel info through the week or just see a few amusing travel stories and links, you can like us on Facebook at facebook.com/Informed Traveler, on Instagram at Informed Traveler, or you can follow me on X at Informed Traveler. So now, as always, we'd like to end the show with our weekly roundup, and joining us to do that is Ken Stewart from Crowfoot Travel Solutions. Good day, sir. What's going on in your world this week?
A lot of the airports and resorts in Jamaica and the Yucatan, which is like Cancun in the area, were really getting proactive this last week as Hurricane Beryl came up and through the Caribbean in the last few days. They were closing down and making sure that everybody was safe. I know a lot of planes were going down Transat. I know sent down a couple of emergency planes to bring people back that wanted to come back. And so it's an early start to hurricane season, and just another reason why travel insurance that we preach. It's a good reason to protect not only yourself, but your vacation investments. So in this case, it would have helped you to get a home early if you wanted to come back, would have paid for any loss of vacation time, or cover you if your trip was canceled altogether. So again, we can't say enough. Have some travel insurance. It's well worth it, even if you don't use it. It just gives you peace of mind, and you don't have to worry about anything. So, because nowadays it's the old story. You never know what's going to happen, and you don't.
We were discussing travel insurance, especially the trip interruption cancellation insurance with Onanta earlier because of all the WestJet chaos that occurred, and now you've got Hurricane Beryl going on. So, yeah, all the more reason to have travel insurance, especially that trip interruption cancellation stuff.
Exactly. If you're a country music fan and want to do a river cruise, Scenic River Cruises still has some space on their with sailing on April 2nd from Zurich to Amsterdam on their Pearl with Terry Clark.
Woohoo! I like
think
Terry
that would
Clark.
Be really cool. You get a little concert, so it's almost like a meet and greet and do all that kind of stuff. Get a river cruise. And right now they've got savings from $2,600 to $3,600 a couple. And also ask us, we can maybe get some reduced airfare savings of up to $1,600 a couple, all based on the chosen suite or cabin category that you choose. And they also threw on a Canada Day sale this past week, good until July 12th, so we still got some days on that. Save an extra $1,000 a couple off their best available river cruise offer, as well as $12,000. Along with $500 onboard credit per couple on their ocean and yacht cruises. So some huge savings there. If you're thinking of wanting to do something, again, have a conversation with your favorite travel agent, and hopefully that's us. But if not, let's see, there's lots of good ones in Calgary. We say that all the time.
Save.
Book a 2025-2026 Princess Cruise. And never have to worry about missing out on a better deal, because right now they've got a better than best price guarantee. If you find a better deal before final payment, which is usually about 90 days out, they're going to give you 120% of the difference as an onboard credit. So you can
Oh,
use that for excursions, spas, upgrades, all kinds of stuff. And right now they've only got $99 per person deposits, up to 40% off, and the third and fourth guests are free,
I
whether they're
like it.
kids or adults. So some
I
great
like it.
savings.
Yeah.
Hurtigruten, and I love to say them. Great expedition ships, which are so much more, almost all inclusive once you're on the ship and everything like that. And they have all kinds of great sailings. A lot of times they'll have people on board that are actually in, like scientists and naturalists and all that kind of stuff, doing seminars and on shore excursions with you. And again, all that's included. So right now they've got a 50% off and up to 5,000 NOK, which is the Danish krone, works out to about $645 Canadian on any
Oh,
new bookings by July 31st for their Norway dates. Or, as they say, beat the heat on any expedition from any of their polar waters like Alaska, Arctic, or Antarctica, as well as the Galapagos, where adventures are cooler than you think. Book by November 10th, 2024. Save up to $3,500 on their all-inclusive sailings and take advantage of their special price promise.
that'd be really cool.
That would be.
Hmm.
Especially the Galapagos. I mean, Galapagos is limited number of people you can go.
Yeah.
And again, I think on these expedition ships rather than just the regular cruise ships, where you have the naturalists and all that kind of stuff on board,
Hmm.
would be a lot more interesting.
Hmm.
And when you look at the ships and the cabins and everything, they're really nice. I mean, we say an expedition ship, but it's not like looking at if you watch the TV where they're crabbing and stuff like that. It's not one of those kind of boats. They are actually really nice boats.
They are.
Celebrity Cruises celebrating the 4th of July with their 75% off the second guest and an extra $200 savings per stateroom for all new bookings by July 15th. So lots of cruises to choose from out there and save yourself some more money.
Hmm.
And again, Oceania Cruises, annual summer sale. They've started it. It's saving you up to 40% on over 50 voyages departing in 2024 and 2025. New bookings by August 26. If you're a solo traveler, and there's lots of us and them out there nowadays, you enjoy specially reduced rates of up to 50% on select categories and sailings. Or if you're a past passenger on Oceania, you can save up to 10% with exclusive savings, and that for new bookings on both of those by September 30th.
Lots of savings.
Exactly. And we're talking a lot about cruises because right now we're into what the suppliers consider the shoulder or summer season, which is usually a quieter time for travel to the sun destinations.
Hmm.
And while we don't talk about a lot of offers, so a reminder, if you didn't get away this past fall or winter, we can start looking at getting you away in 2025 as the suppliers and resorts are all loaded for the products for those sun and beach destinations, particularly with WestJet Vacations. When you see a sale on the airfares, it's a great time because they package their regular scheduled airfares with their packages, and that's how they build them. So you can get some better pricing. I know I was looking at a client the other day, and a family of four, the dates we were looking at, and we knew the sale was coming out, so we waited, and it was almost $2,000 less than
Really?
what our original quote was.
Wow.
So again, they also offer their WestJet Vacation trip protection, which if you're booking a long way out is a good way to protect yourself. Again, it's either $89 or $119 depending on the dates that you're going, but that allows you to make one free change. So again, if the price drops substantially like that, again, you can use that and reduce your costs.
Nice.
And just a quick reminder too, all the more popular dates like Christmas, New Year's, family days have already been selling really, really well because we've been selling these since back in April.
Yeah.
And some resorts are almost sold out. So give us a call or, again, your favorite travel agent and discuss your plans.
And if people want to give you a call, what's that number?
403-241-7140 if you're in Calgary. And outside Calgary, you can call us toll free, 1-877-511-5511. Then you too can relax. It's all taken care of.
And that is our show for this week. If you have comments or questions, we'd love to hear from you. If you have a show idea, send that along as well. My email is randy@theinformedtraveler.org. And if you like what you heard, tell a friend. You can check out our website too at theinformedtraveler.org. In the meantime, thanks for listening, travel safe, and be an informed traveler.